All right, are we live? We're live. Welcome back. This is video number 5 in this series. In this series, we are creating a plan, executing on the plan, and then above all else, we are finishing that plan. And that's what this is all about, is getting good at finishing. And became more and more clear as this week went on. This was a big week, actually, and I ended up finishing the whole project in this week, and so we finished the entire project in 2 weeks. So it had a super huge game jam feeling to it. So a lot of really great energy, but then but also we need to balance that with life, because I ended up doing 2-3 sessions a day, and typically my sessions are 3 hours a day. So this project was planned for like about 20-25 days, I think it was, and I ended up doing it in 10, and that's because I was doubling up my effort, and it was all good. I felt good about it, but definitely not balanced. I was basically not doing other things in life just to work on this, because I don't know, I had the motivation, so I just went after it. But we'll get into more of that in the retrospective video, which will be coming maybe 1 or 2 videos after this one. And if you're new to the series, definitely go check out where we start, which is creating the whole plan. And then we've got a couple other videos where we do a bunch of cuts and POCs. And then video number 4 was a weekly summary. And then this is going to be a weekly summary. We could kind of show here where we left off from last week. Somewhere about halfway through these interfaces 7 days ago. Last update was last Saturday. And so we finish off the interfaces and we get into blueprints and modules, and all of this stuff just kind of bled together because you couldn't really do one thing and test it without having the other things in place. They're all related. And then we finish up the whole project with basically a bunch of last minute unplanned things. And it's just tons of that for the last couple of days. And so what do we want to get into first here? So we got a main menu that's new from last week. You have all your typical other screens here. If I do new game, we have a new tutorial system, which just went in yesterday, and that was because my daughter did some play testing, and she came into the game and was just absolutely lost. She's not a gamer, like a big gamer. She does enjoy games, but and she's an adult. She's not like a 5-year-old or something like that. But she came in and she was clueless. She just like went full throttle once she figured out what one of the keys did, and just kept crashing over and over and over again. She wasn't like, tapping the thruster. And so for her and others like her, I said, okay, I'm going to have to do some tips and put the controls on the screen. And, that's just good to do anyways. Even an experienced gamer might not know right away what to do. But so one of the other big changes that I did was instead of starting the game inside of the space station, inside the base, where there was tons of things going on. I had tons of buttons, and you could upgrade this and upgrade that, and it wasn't clear if you should do anything. And when she went in there, she just clicked on all the different buttons, and I'll talk about that more here in just a second. So instead of putting you into what could be considered a confusing interface in the base, I put you in space with the tip of fill up your cargo, right? So now you've got something to do. And so we've got, the ship is new, we've got thrusters, we've got a minigun on the front, some effects on it, some tracers, which confused my daughter. I think rightfully so, she sees the tracers as being the bullets, which is what you expect in a lot of these games, right? But I'm like, well, this is a minigun, so you don't see the bullets in the minigun, you see the tracers in the minigun, and it may not translate well to a game. Or maybe I haven't done it well enough, but that's what's going on here. So your minigun is just hammering these asteroids with tons of hits. And you can kind of see that with the particle effects. And the occasional tracer is supposed to help you sort of with those longer range shots. It works pretty well as long as you know how a minigun works. Otherwise, I guess it could be confusing. So anyways, let me see if I can finish collecting. We're supposed to collect 1,000 credits worth of... Ooh, it's getting a little tight. Let's not blow up. Because I want to kind of show a little bit more of the tutorial phase here. So there we go. That'll that'll do it. You can see I have my graph skimmer here. It slowly pulls in these resources, and as you upgrade your graph skimmer, it will pull in farther and faster. So now you get a little little tip down here saying, hey, go back to 0, 0, go into the base. And now in the base, there used to be a ton of buttons here. We had a button here, here for upgrading inventory, here for upgrading ship, here for going into achievements, and here for launching the ship. And so it's just super confused. And there was no context either. This is the first screen you see. You're like, you don't even know this is a ship. In fact, I should label it, this is a ship. So I'm going to probably do that before I release, and do labels for these as well. So what we're looking at here is we have a blueprint inventory. You know, it looks like a blueprint to me. And it's a blueprint for cargo. It's the only thing you could do now. So really we're guiding the player, and it's highlighted. So you print, and unfortunately, because I'm in the cheat code mode, the 3D printer is printing the module instantly, so you don't get to see all the work I did to animate this back and forth, up and down, and it plays sounds, and it shows a lump of something being printed. It's pretty cool. I'm very proud of it, actually. So it prints the module. Now it's flashing. Now you have a tip down here, and this is a tremendous amount of work. And this actually, my project source code was pristine, like best project code I have ever written, architecture wise. Everything is exactly the way it should be. There was no sort of, oh, maybe there's a better way to do this. None of that until I got to doing the tutorial tips. And then all of a sudden I started sprinkling all of this sort of questionable code around because I had to hide this button at this time, you know what I mean? And just step through the whole entire project and do all these things all over the place. So that's something I would like to improve if I go forward. One, creating a tutorial system that abstracts a lot of that stuff out where you can, and maybe rely on signals from those places. I'm not sure yet, but it was definitely a questionable implementation, but it was also last minute, so whatever. It is working. It is helping the user do learn little by little. So now the player's done that. They don't have any other credits. They can't do anything else. The only thing they can do is launch, and this is flashing over here, and it tells them, go ahead and launch. And so now we update the tip, and it tells them to continue to gather and upgrade. And so now they just fly around doing that. And somewhere along the way here, as I was getting through this week, I started to realize that I had cut the fun out of the game. And that was a major problem. I cut the enemies out of the game, and I'm starting to go, wow, this. And I think it was my daughter who also said it. She's like, what do you do? Like, well, you shoot the rocks. And then what kind of conversation? And I was like, well, that's it. It was like, man, like I kind of screwed up, because that was one of the goals of the plan. If you go back and look at the plan, was fun. Design the fun, execute on the fun, and deliver the fun. And I didn't do that. So I did a bunch of other great things, finishing, coming up with a plan, but not delivering the fun. So that's a problem. So we're going to have to revisit that, and that's going to be the primary focus probably of my next plan. And I'm thinking I'm going to do another format like this, because I think there's a lot. I'm learning a tremendous amount. It's got the right energy, the right vibe to it. I don't know how it will be received by you guys. I'm hoping it's like a fresh sort of take, and not that I'm conveying anything. I'm not trying to teach anybody, because, like I said, I'm not a smart person. So I'm hoping it's like hey, if I can do this, you can do it, and here, learn from all my mistakes. That's kind of my approach to the whole thing. So we're going to dive into that in the next plan. And I think I already mentioned it, not sure, but I definitely want to avoid going back and trying to create plans to revive old projects. I think that's super dangerous. I want to create another new plan for a new project, new short iteration, do try to reuse some stuff, but go after the fun and practice that, because I apparently suck at designing fun into games. I'm great at putting mechanics together, thinking of, take these three mechanics, put them together. That should be fun, but no, you have to actually develop and prove that it's fun. So we're going to do that. Anyway, pretty happy with my interface. Let's cheat really quick. I'm going to add a bunch of credits. And so we can kind of show, here's all our blueprints. We have all the different tiers. Still can't show you the printer, the awesome printer, but we got this. Now I can swap that out. We can upgrade the inventory. We can upgrade the ship. And normally a player is going to come in here, maybe upgrade one thing, and they're going to launch. They're going to go back out. They're going to get more resources, bring those back in. And then we unlock the achievements button over here. So again, kind of slowly progressing them through all the different buttons and interfaces. And so now you have your achievements that you can unlock, which is based on hull size. So the more you upgrade, the more cargo you can haul, the safer you'll be out in the asteroid field, the bigger hauls you'll get. And you can just keep unlocking these as you progress. So nice little progression system for what this is. Pretty happy with that. Yeah, and so I think that's it. That's what was done this week. And then to talk about what's next. So I'm going to release the game. I'm going to fix a few bugs that I found while doing the demo here. And then we're going to release the game, and we're going to do a retro on the whole thing overall, kind of deep diving. Like one of the things was this whole week, I didn't even look at my game design document once. Is that good? Is that bad? What does that mean? We're going to talk about retrospectively how I executed against the plan, which went very well, but I did miss a ton of stuff. So I'm going to think about all of that, try to capture that in a, what did I miss and how not to do that going forward. But the other thing was I really want to think about this game jam energy that I had. It's a new project, getting a bunch for that. I'm cheating, and I'm using you guys as accountability partners. And that means I knew that I was delivering something to somebody, that they were going to be on the end of this waiting for it, even though you didn't know you were waiting for it, even though most of you were not waiting for it. This is not something you're waiting for. This looks like a tutorial you would find somewhere, right? And maybe I should turn it into that. Then I can do a video on how to make a space game. Not that we need one of those, because there's a million of them and they look just like this. But that's not what this project was about. This project was about me practicing finishing and working on some of the things that I suck at. So that's what this is about. So yeah, we'll dive into that retro. And then the question would be, what do we do next? And I guess I'm gonna save some of that for the retro video or the next video, which is what's next. And we'll think about, is it gonna be a small project, a big project? Are we gonna redo the whole plan? I'm thinking definitely on some of that. Anyway, okay. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers, bye.